So the House Judiciary dropped a bombshell thing yesterday saying that Google is the company that owns YouTube. A lot of people don't know that, which is weird. They think it's but no, Google owns YouTube. Google admits censorship under Biden, promises to end bans of YouTube accounts of thousands of Americans censored for political speech. Now, before we go any further into this, let me remind you, I have been called a conspiracy theorist. There are so many people that owe me an apology. I have had former friends that became doctors that during COVID, they would send me letters basically telling me that they cursed the day they ever met me and that I was responsible for so many deaths of people and I was going to burn in hell and all this other kind of stuff. How am I smarter than you? Like you're a doctor and I'm a high school graduate and I'm smarter than you are. I don't know how else to say this. Google admits to censorship under Biden. Okay, here's the other thing. This is only a partial admittance of things here. They were censoring people long before Biden. Let's not change that at all. The problem is right now they got the crosshairs on them. Today, thanks to the oversight of Chairman Jim Jordan, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off of YouTube due to political speech violations on topics such as COVID-19 and elections an opportunity to return to the platform. Google also admitted the following to the House Judiciary Committee. Number one, the Biden administration pressured Google to censor Americans and remove content that did not violate YouTube's policies. Here's the thing. Todd, riddle me this.
Yo.
Wasn't there just a huge fuss from the likes of the left and liberals saying that Donald Trump, simply by saying Jimmy Kimmel should be fired, was infringing upon Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment rights because the government was interfering with his ability to be able to speak? Did Google not just admit that the Biden administration 100% demanded that Google and YouTube remove the free speech of free Americans? Shouldn't the Biden administration be going to prison over something like this?
That's my whole thing. That's what I said yesterday. And I don't know, maybe you can explain this to these people better than I can because I don't have an answer. Like Zuckerberg has already come out and said Biden administration did it. You know, Dorsey, we know. So, and now YouTube. At what point are we going to see somebody in a jumpsuit for violating constitutional rights?
Here's the thing. Now they're admitting, this is Google admitting this. The Biden administration's censorship pressure was, quote, unacceptable and wrong. But you still did it. Number three, public debate should never come at the expense of relying, quote, public debate should never come at the expense of relying quote, authorities.
I don't know.
Okay, whatever. Number four, the company will never use third-party fact checkers. I love that all these fact checkers are out of business because I used to fight these people all the time. And number five, Europe's censorship laws target American companies and threaten American speech, including the removal of quote lawful content. All right, so we're going to get into this here in a minute, but here's what I want to remind everybody now. Google. Well, okay, here, yes, this is good. The Biden administration has now been proven that they used the government to force Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook/Instagram to censor dissenting voices and political enemies of the Biden administration. How are none of these people in jail? This is why you know that you live in the matrix right here. Someone should be going to jail over this. I want you to just remember, literally last week, the attacks against the conservatives and the GOP and President Trump, because President Trump said that Jimmy Kimmel should be kicked off the air because his ratings suck. That was government overreach. That was the government overreaching. That was the government interfering in free speech of Americans. But here we have teetotal proof that it was done under the Biden administration. Me, to everybody else. And go ahead, Todd.
I've got a big question for you personally. Like, so, and I don't know, but Facebook admitted it, therefore Instagram is involved. Now YouTube admitted it. Like, can Dear America not just sue the hell out of these companies now? Can we just retire?
I think that, I mean, here's the truth. Okay?
Just asking.
Ladies and gentlemen, here's the truth on some of this is, and I want to get to you a warning here in a minute, but I'll say this, then we got to get in our final sponsor, then I'll do that. I know that there are some people that understand that what we do obviously makes money, and some people understand that, and some people have a big problem with it. They think we're like preachers and should just work for free, I guess. I'll never forget it, man. August of 2020.
Yeah, you called me.
I will never forget it, man. Everything just went black, just dark for me and every other conservative friend I know. We went from making X amount of revenue and we had X amount of employees to do that to zero revenue. And anyone that owns a business or anyone that does a job, imagine one day you show up to work, you're doing the same thing you've been doing for forever, but now everything just goes to zero. Mm-hmm. And you have to still show up and do the job, and there's now zero money. And on top of that, the very platforms of which you use to do your job, they demoted you down to only being able to reach 5% of your audience. I still can't tell you how many people write me saying, "Where have you been? I haven't seen you in years." Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like still to this point. And it's not all about money. However, I had to let a lot of people go because we went from X amount of dollars in revenue per year to boom, like that. And that's why it's so important for you guys to support us by things like Never Woke and Never Woke Apparel. Go into neverwokeapparel.com. Launch date is October 1st, buying merch and things like that. Because, and thank God again for Rumble. I mean, look, here's the other thing. The reemergence of Dear America is only because of Rumble. And I can't thank Chris and Dan enough. Dan Bongino is the one that told me to come to Rumble. He's the one that told me that, hey, nobody wants the 9 a.m. slot because that's a tough slot to pull an audience, but it's wide open. And if you want to come and try to rebuild Dear America back up, come try to own the 9 a.m. slot and get an audience in the 9 a.m. slot. And here we are. We're about to be at 24,000 people at 9 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, at 6 o'clock in the morning here on the West Coast. It was really hard times. So to your point, Todd, I still believe Meta, X, and YouTube should be forced to pay millions of dollars to those of us, because I mean, yeah, man, do you know how expensive a videographer is? Do you know how expensive like all this stuff is to do what we do?
Yeah, that's why I don't have one.
well, yeah. I mean, and so it was dude. It killed so many businesses that never came back. It is a miracle from God above that we made it through somehow. And we have really Rumble to thank for that. Here's what I'm going to say. And I like this graphic right here, Todd. Leave it right here. YouTube just admitted that they did this. They just admitted. Dan Bongino got kicked off of YouTube totally, right? So think about that. Dan Bongino got kicked off of YouTube totally. Crowder left YouTube because they were killing him, all this other kind of stuff. My warning to everyone, and I'm probably going to catch some heat for this, but if you didn't do it, don't come at me because you didn't do it. And if you do come at me, other people that do what we do, then I have the same question. I always tell you guys to use discernment about who you listen to. I think it's obvious in the wake of Charlie and everything like this, like you're seeing people that are disingenuous. If Google and YouTube admitted that they deplatformed, censored, and shadow banned people that were dissenting voices against the Biden administration, against the lockdowns, against the election results, against things like this, how did some voices not only stay, but grow during the last 5 years? That's my question. And I think it's a valid one. And I think that it's worth asking. And I think that people need to really pay attention to who they're talking to. I mean, to who they're listening to is what I believe. And so I think that that's a warning to everyone. I think that this gives us an opportunity. Todd, are you frozen or are you just being perfectly still?
No, I'm here. I'm being perfectly
Good Lord,
still.
dude. You looked like you had just died, like
that
right
was
on
my
the screen.
that was my impression of the dude from Guardians of the Galaxy. I can become invisible.
All right. Either way, but take that for what you will, and you can comment people that you have questions about or whatever. But that just to me sent a big warning. To me, anyone who's had success on YouTube during the past 5 years, now that we know that Google has admitted to active censorship, suppression, and deplatforming of people who were dissenting voices against the Biden administration, questioned the 2020 election, and questioned COVID, they knocked them off. Well, then I just have some questions on how some of these people managed to not only maintain YouTube dominance, but gain YouTube dominance during that time. And so I would just be cautious is all I'm saying. And I would also say, and I know that the people that are literally here on Rumble are all in on Rumble. I would tell you guys to tell everybody you know to invest in Rumble. Get a Rumble account, because here's the other thing, ladies and gentlemen, and this is even bigger to the election, okay? And we'll get to the UN here, but this is huge, and I need you to listen to my words and listen to me clearly. There you go, Chris from Rumble right here. Did Google just admit they rigged the 2020 elections? What's the consequences for this? The large channel bans for political speech and elections were in October 2020. Okay, so yeah, it hit me August, so that's around the same thing. Okay. YouTube has waited this long to admit it for a reason. We have midterms in June, primaries in June, and then the general election in next November. So it's going to take a couple months for YouTube to really let the algorithm open back up. Okay, and if we don't win the 2026 election, what do you think is going to happen? Everything's going to get locked back down again, except for X and Rumble. So I'm not telling you not to go back on YouTube. I'm not telling you not to post content on YouTube. I'm telling you that Rumble needs to be your bedrock of freedom, because Rumble stood in the gap and stood in the arena when everybody else was cowering down. And that's why you need to double down on Rumble right now. You can do that by getting 100%. A Rumble Premium subscription. You can do that by showing up every day for the programming. If you believe that, comment an American flag. And can we get some appreciation for Chris, the owner of Rumble, and Dan Bongino, because we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Rumble. And so just a word of warning there as we go.